Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, a podcast that showcases people you may not know who are choosing to use their gifts to inspire and move the planet.
Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah. I am so excited because my guest today, Lisa Scott, is an amazing, beautiful human, and I'm just so grateful for her being on the platform today. So Lisa is going to share with you who she is and what it is that she does. So Lisa, take it away.
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited that we finally got it together to meet today. I am Lisa Scott. I'm a manifest coach, metaphysician, and I guide professional women, womenpreneurs, corporate and pivoting women that are looking to, that are ready to answer the call to their soul calling career. And specifically by learning how to stop worrying about the how, which is the number one reason people are they get paralyzed with fear. They want to worry about the how in terms of answering the call to their soul calling. And I assist them in no longer worrying about the how by helping them to go right into the state of being of their desired outcomes as if that desired outcome is already happening right now.
I love that. That is so perfect.
Yes.
So how did you get on that path?
Oh my goodness. It's so many it's been a long journey because when I first started coaching, which was in 2011, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was talking to everybody, which you're talking to nobody. And as time went on, I noticed that first of all, professional women, corporate women, would always gravitate toward my work online. And what I noticed was that they would, compliment my presence and all of this. And I noticed that they would bypass the aspect of themselves, the emotional parts of themselves that, for me, they would bypass that because, to get right to trying to sell or, try to do whatever it is they're trying to do. And I would refocus that attention back to their emotional state of being, because my understanding from my own personal experience is because everything is coming from you, then you need to handle and deal with everything that's happening to you emotionally. Well, not everything, but those things that are most prevalent that need to be dealt with so that you can move those things out of the way and make room for whatever is going to be gravitating into your space.
Yeah.
So I've had various memberships, various Facebook groups and all of this. And I noticed a pattern jumped out at me that no matter what I was doing with professional women, no matter what wasn't being spoken directly, but indirectly, but from everyone, is that they were doing something that they did not want to be doing. They would reference what they actually wanted to be doing, while, struggling with what they were currently doing, but referencing what they actually wanted to be doing. And I noticed this was a pattern with almost every single, almost everybody that would come into my space, but I didn't notice it until I started working. I work with a coach and she really helped me focus my attention. So I highly recommend that people work with skilled coaches. Yeah, so I started to work with professional women, corporate women, in order for them to answer the call to their soul calling. what else are we, here doing if we're not answering the call to our soul calling? So that's my story. That's how I started focusing in on that.
That is so powerful. I know that you have your degree in metaphysics.
Yes.
So let's talk about how that came about.
Oh my goodness, you want to go back that daggone far? Well,
Because it's not, I want to share just because it's not a traditional, it's not,
yeah.
I mean, it's not like, when you were a kid, you grew up and said, oh, I'm going to go to school for metaphysics.
You got that right. I didn't know anything about it, actually. The University of Metaphysics was referred to me by a friend. Her and I, we used to go to the same church together years ago. And when I exited the church system, and I began to open my mind to allow myself to ask or hear the inherent questions that would rise up inside of me, my girlfriend that I would be talking to a lot, she said, would you be interested in getting a degree in metaphysics? Because a lot of the things that I was talking about, was curious about, she just felt like it would be a perfect fit. And it turns out that it actually was. But that was just the beginning. I mean, getting a degree in metaphysics is one thing. However, really just allowing yourself to ask the inherent questions that come up from within you and learning to trust yourself. These are the things that I continue to do. So it takes me down so many different paths, as we've talked about before. Now I'm learning about human design. I'm dabbling in human design. So,
Yes.
The fact that I have allowed myself to trust in myself and allow myself to ask the questions that I want to ask and just go down different paths and investigate and see, what is this about and what is this about. Not getting married to anything in particular has been wonderful for me. It has really opened my mind to so many different thought processes and all of that, and I love it. I love it.
That is so perfect, because the thing is I know that, so many of us are on this journey, and a lot of times people want to make you pigeonhole into something. It's
Right.
like, oh, would you do this? But you're a manifest coach. Well, how you doing human design? Or you're a blah blah blah. How are you, doing this? Or whatever. And the way I feel about it is, I'm not a one trick pony, and I feel like um this area is so open, and it needs us to go down it so that we can help people to open up, help
Yes.
to get free from religious dogma and things like that. And
Yeah.
so, just the fact that you feel free enough to do that, to me, that's priceless,
Well,
because there are so many that don't.
yeah, and it turns out that because just like you were saying about people wanting to pigeonhole you into certain things, um, I just find that even with business, I used to have this tagline years ago where I said, "As you grow, your business will grow." Um, I don't separate myself from anything. I think that if we were, if I was saying, okay, this is me here, and then this is business over here, and this is this over here, then that's how we can easily, get stuck into these boxes.
Hmm.
For me, I see this as this is me, and everything is proceeding, from there. But to me, I like what this one young lady said when she said that for her, business was an aspect of spirituality, because once you go into business for yourself, it is going to teach you so many things about yourself. And
Wow.
you know, I feel like it's the same with being a manifest coach, and how people look at manifesting as this terminology, like this thing. And it's like, well, we're manifesting all the time.
Every single minute.
Every single minute, this is what we're doing. But because it's been packaged in a certain way and it's
Yes.
being looked at, in a certain way, when I think about manifesting, it has taught me so much about myself, so much more than just attempting to get a thing. Because
Yes.
for me, it's all about, it always brings me back to going within myself to
Yes.
understand why this is being brought forth in this way. Why is this being held up? Or, why aren't clients coming? Or, all of it is manifesting to me, all of it. So there isn't an aspect of it that is not manifestation in some way,
Exactly.
shape, or form.
Exactly. And the thing is I'm glad you said that, because that brings us to this place where people, this is what I'm seeing as I look around at, people that are talking about manifesting, and everybody talks about it as, oh, I want to get this thing, instead of it being a lifestyle, or instead of it being, a conscious lifestyle, because the thing is we all manifest every single day, every minute of every day. We've manifested this, what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
But the thing is a lot of times, people are like, oh, well, I'm doing this, but I didn't mean to manifest that. But that's, you did. You know
Right.
what I mean?
You always are.
Yeah, and you wanna actually make it a lifestyle, because that's what I aspire to, is to make it a lifestyle of conscious manifesting.
Hmm.
I want
As
to
a matter of,
manifest every minute
no,
of every day consciously.
exactly. As a matter of fact, when I was doing reels on Instagram, well, I don't know, last year maybe, um, I would always start with addressing conscious manifestors. And that was I would say conscious manifestors, blah, 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 conscious manifest, because just like you said, we're all manifesting, but
Yes.
whether you're consciously aware of it or not, I'm speaking to those who are consciously aware, who are not fighting the fact that they are co-creating their reality.
Yes.
So I would say that, and understood that I'm saying this purposely because I am, there's a difference between someone who is not aware and who will fight you on their ability to do something they don't know, they haven't had that experience. Well, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the one who is aware.
Yes.
I'm talking to the one who is consciously aware, who actually, a lot of times, a lot of our journeys are so similar. I mean,
Yes.
we've been, and I've done a video about this too, where we've been on a path for years and years and years and years,
Yes.
listening to countless and limitless amounts of videos and taking in countless and limitless amounts of information and going from this guru to the next. And my thing
And
is
courses and courses, and what are those other things, and memberships and blah blah blah, and
exactly just excessively consuming information.
yes.
And my thing is, when you come back to yourself, and we talked about this because I said right now I'm just in a state of relaxation, and that's it. But when you put all of that stuff down, and I'm not saying there isn't a place for it, because there
Yes.
absolutely is. Perhaps there's so much of what we're doing that we just wouldn't know had we not been exposed.
Right.
Um, but there is nothing like sitting with yourself and asking yourself a question, or spending time with a particular affirmation, over and over again, and seeing what it will yield if you stick with that, or not
Yes.
pick up one more piece of information, because somehow we don't believe we know. And it's like,
Yes.
we know everything. If we were to
Yes.
stop and ask ourselves, we would understand that the answer is already there. And it's actually the excessive information that we're taking in that is causing the hindrance or the slowing down of a manifestation, or for you not to see how quickly you could have had that if you didn't say, I need one more video or one more, I don't, like, a person is perceiving they don't understand something. And it's like, yes,
Yes.
you do. You already
Yes.
understand. I had a young lady whose email list I've been on for quite some time. And right when I guess it was coming up consciously for me, and it had some time ago, and you know how you put stuff down and then you pick it up
Yep.
again. Well, she had sent an email, and this email was talking about how, remember when you used to manifest so effortlessly?
Yes.
And it wasn't about processes or analyzing or, step one and step two. And she said, if it's become more difficult, perhaps you're being called back to the simplicity of it all. And it really spoke to my heart, because I said, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And that, yes, I was because we're always manifesting.
Yes.
But yet, if we separate it out in this packaged way, then all of a sudden it does become something different.
Well, because it's feeling hard.
Exactly. And it's like there's no separation between you and manifesting.
Right.
Just as there's no separation between you and God.
Yes.
So if you feel a separation, this is the hindrance. This is the resistance,
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yes. These are the conversations. Yes. I love it. Because people they don't want to believe it. I think I don't think that. I think that so many of us, and I have to speak, because we had a conversation also about religion, which you and I both don't do. But it's like so many people have been caught up in this cycle where they are brainwashed to believe that they're separate from God, or that they're not one with God, they're not one with Christ. I mean, speak to that.
Yeah, well, actually, that I wouldn't have termed it that back then, or maybe I would have. That was part of my inability to remain in the church system.
Yes.
Was that I started to feel boxed in, and
Yes.
I started to not feel well, not that I'll say it opposite. I started to feel like I was more expansive. I started to become consciously aware that my beingness was beyond the walls that I was restricting myself in.
Yeah. So you felt confined.
Yeah, and yeah, so, and when I did exit and I started to ask certain questions and look and seek and all of that, and
Wait, you didn't get the left foot of fellowship?
no. No. But anyway, I started to understand, or accept rather,
Yes.
that I was one with everything. I felt this, I knew this, I understood this. And for some reason, I abandoned it for a while when I went into the walls of the church. And not to say that there wasn't some reason for that, or as a matter of fact, at this point, I wouldn't have had it any other way, because when I started to ask myself, well, wow, because I had a very profound experience with that. And I said, oh my goodness, how did this happen? I was once in the church system, and I was going for 12 years. I was, very devout, all of that for 12 years. And all of a sudden, and it really wasn't all of a sudden, but all of a sudden, it was gone. All of that, the doctrine, the dogma, all of that was gone. And so as I began to ask myself, how did that happen? How was I once here and now I'm here? I began to understand it had to do with the power of the mind.
Yes.
And that no matter what we focus our attention on, and this is how it started to segue into manifesting and all of this other stuff, was I started to understand that no matter what we focus our attention on, you go into that state, as we talked about in the very beginning, you go into that state of being, and it kind of wraps itself around you, or the doors close to any other state of being beyond the state that you are focusing your attention on. So in other words, that saying where energy flows, it
goes where energy flows. Yeah.
Right. So this is what is happening. And so for me, it wasn't just about religion. It was about understanding that this is what we do as human beings. So no matter what your attention is on. And so I started to be guided, to pay attention to my thoughts. I had another very profound experience where I was sick and tired of how I was feeling. I was going through physical ailments and headaches and all kind of stuff. And I heard that with these same thoughts that have brought you here, I'm going to show you how to use those thoughts to get yourself out. And so I'm like, okay, this is me talking to me. But at that moment, it didn't feel that way. It felt like, what the heck is going on? But
you look like this.
Okay, okay. But I began to be taken through the process of, and I call this becoming a scientist of myself. And I say that all the time. I am a scientist of myself. And so in that moment, I became consciously aware of my thoughts. And I became consciously aware of how, for every thought we're thinking, there is a correlating emotional response that's going through the body.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, well, if that's what's happening, let me play with this. Let me be the scientist of myself and really understand what this is about. And so I would say a word and sit there and wait. And I would feel the reaction. So I threw out the word good. And I sat and I waited. And I could feel what was going on with that word. Then I would throw out another word. And I would sit and I would wait. And I would feel the reaction that would go. And I said, oh my goodness, this is how thought and emotion together equals our action and reaction. Our reaction and action. Yes. And so I began to question or say to myself, if I felt my body, not feeling so good emotionally with a thought or a phrase, a sentence, and I would say, oh, okay, do I want to feel this way? And my answer would be no. And so if I didn't want to feel this way, what thoughts could I offer myself? And so this is prior to any of all the reading and gurus and all of this. I already had this personal experience that caused me to go looking for, what the terminology and all of that.
Yes.
But when I noticed that if I didn't want to feel a certain way, I could change my thoughts and the feelings that were going on inside of my body would be different, I began to consciously do that and consciously pay attention to my internal conversations and communication that I had with myself. And slowly, without doing anything, without taking any external action, I started to witness people around me changing. My marital relationship got better. My if there was a friendship that just my friendships were shifting. I started my business. These things were happening very naturally and organically as a result of, because our communication and energy and all of this and frequency, vibration, all of this is going out beyond our physical self and affecting our environment. I started to understand, oh, so even my physical environment is an extension of what's going on inside of me.
Yes.
But I only became aware of that because I was not doing anything physical for these changes to occur. And I was not efforting at the things that were turning around positively. I was not consciously thinking, oh, well, let me make my relationship better, or let me start my business. That just was a effortless flow. It was, I can term it now as a stream of consciousness that was coming from me as a result of the change in my thinking and the correlating emotional response that organically started to guide me as to, okay, take this step or take that step. I had someone on LinkedIn. I had posted about a person that one of my clients, who she had gone from not being she was in the corporate arena. She retired from that, but she wanted to answer the call to her soul calling.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that I talk to anyone about is going into the state of being as if this thing has already occurred. But what I noticed very naturally would happen, again, another pattern emerging to teach me about what this is all about. What I noticed with every single one of my clients, and I didn't know this was going to happen, but it correlates to what I was just talking about, was that they would not be able to go into the state of being as if something were already occurring. They couldn't cross over the threshold, so to speak, of who they conceptualize themselves to be right now, and the person, going into the state of being as if something was already occurring, without addressing whatever the communication was that's going on in their body right now that was affecting them from childhood.
Wow.
This is why people aren't answering the call to begin with. It has to do with messaging that you're walking around with that must be addressed. And it's like, you can liken it to going into a new house. You're getting ready to go into a new house, and you know that you're not taking certain things into this new house.
Right.
So this would happen very organically. It was not a part of it was a part of my process, because I would be able to skillfully lead them from, where they were to where they desire to be. But right when I would say, okay, let's go into the state of being of whatever their soul calling was. So they would describe what the soul calling was and all of this. So my clients already know what their soul calling is.
Okay.
But before they would go in, it was like, halt, stop. And so the young lady that I was talking about, she went from retiring as someone who was a six-figure corporate person, because this is just what she wanted to do. But she wanted to answer the call to her soul calling, which was for her making loose leaf teas, customized loose leaf teas.
Oh, beautiful.
That address people's ailments.
Beautiful.
So, and her grandmother and her mother made these teas or showed her their recipes, and this is what she wanted to do. And she would say that she could just go out and be walking, and of course organically talking about this, because this is who she is, and people would just want to collaborate and things like that. But she was struggling with her confidence level with regard to this. Guess why?
Why?
Because it was too easy.
You know, I kind of thought that's what you were going to say, because that is so common.
I was going to say this is a great deal of my clients are thinking that because of what, and this is some messaging from Dr. John D. Martini. I love the mess out of this man because he talks about values. And he talks about values being what we inherently put our mind and hands to do every single day, that no one has to remind us to do, threaten us to do, or even externally motivate you to do. He said, if you need external motivation, you are not functioning in your highest value.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
Okay. Now, with me understanding that and understanding that people are always doing what their highest values are very inherently, this is so you that a lot of times you cannot it's not in your conscious awareness that you're doing what is inherent of you, because it's so inherent of you. And this is why, because the world is teaching you that you have to work hard.
Yes.
You have to, whatever the messaging is that society, the world has taught, this is contrary to who you be as an individual. So when you're just flowing and you're doing things very inherently and naturally of you, and you can get paid, there is a what do you call it? Cognitive dissonance with that.
You feel guilty.
Yeah, you feel guilty, you feel shame, and what I do is help you to address what that messaging, and not just for that specifically, because everybody has a bunch of different messaging that is speaking to why they're not doing it. But that messaging in particular, and every message usually goes back to your childhood, but we can get to the root of the particular messaging that has to do with the shame for that particular person.
Yes.
Because everybody's shame and everybody's guilt is different.
That's so right.
The messaging from whatever was going on in your household, whatever you were taking in, because we didn't have a healthy, we couldn't. We're little kids, we're babies, we're little kids, we're too young to be able to translate the information that we're getting that's just being downloaded between 0 to 7 years old.
Yeah.
We don't know how to take that messaging and have it work for us or have it translate in a healthy manner. So we take it in, and in whatever way we take it in, and then it acts as a hindrance that a person isn't necessarily picking up on until they want to do something in particular.
Yeah.
And in working with me, that particular thing has to do with them no longer compromising what they've been doing, or not to say that their corporate job was just piece of crap and all of it. You did what you did. It served its time. Yes. And all of a sudden you're in a space where you no longer want to do that. You want to do something more fulfilling for yourself, versus perhaps the survival program you were answering when you first started working. Yes. Or feeling like I just need to take care of my family, or whatever the messaging was that got you into the workforce.
Or because in America they train workers.
Exactly.
They don't train people to think. They don't train people to be entrepreneurs. They don't train people to do their own thing. They train workers. And that is how we were conditioned, most of us that are from here.
Exactly. And so I'm getting to the root of whatever the messaging and program is, particular to the individual, And it's particular to their soul calling as well. And the other thing I noticed too is that see, I love how my work teaches me, you know.
Yes.
The other
That part.
thing, yeah, I love it because I say I get to travel with my clients, because when they go into the state of being as if something has already occurred, I'm traveling with them into that state of being. We're feeding off of each other and going back and forth, and they're saying what they're saying, and I can tap in intuitively into that being and feel and understand what they're talking about. It's why a lot of times when they're talking or I'm talking, they're talking, it feels like one individual, and they're saying, how did you know that? Or they're you know, I said I joke about this all the time, Tammy, but I said I'm going to brand my own little thing of tissues,
Yeah.
because the tears just start flowing, because the person is a lot of times feeling seen for the
Yes.
first
Seen
time in
and
their life.
heard. Yes.
And what I love about this is when I say soul calling, and this is something I learned, that's why I say I love how my work teaches me, is that the soul calling is not just career.
Yes.
This is your entire life and lifestyle and children and husband and energy and time and health. And so when I say go into the state of your soul calling as if it has already occurred,
Yes.
we're not just talking about one thing or the other.
Yes.
I want my clients, and I challenge them, and it is no challenge, because it feels like they've been waiting to do this all their lives. I act as a guide, because I gently am able to, as the space and time is allowing, to gently guide them into certain areas that they may not be thinking about, like their husband and their child and their their calendar changing, and the smells in the house, and the colors that aren't there that need to be there, and the food that they're not paying attention to that they really want to be cooking but they're not, and the music that should be playing in the background while they're on the computer but they never thought about it because they separated themselves from the work. And I had heard this term, and I said, oh my goodness, this is for me. Deconditioning the entrepreneurial and corporate matrix as an individual is creating their soul calling. Everything we're talking about is me reminding the client, you are not replicating what you do not want. You are not replicating what is familiar to you just because that's the way it's always been done. And I'll go back to the young lady. I'm sorry, y'all, because I can be long-winded. The young lady that I was talking about who resigned from corporate America, and she was in a position to do that. So I'm not encouraging anybody to do nothing you ain't in a position to do.
Mm-mm.
But she was in a position to do that, wanted to make these teas, and the confidence level wasn't necessarily there because of how easy. And as she would talk to me, and I would hear, because I'm hearing the what do you call it? The subtle nuances of that individual. And so I can tap into what that individual's intentions are and
Yes.
begin to open the door for them to go in. And sometimes they might sit back like, oh shoot, like like really? That's
That's what I got to do.
but she had said to me one time about, I wanted to, she was just really expressing about what she wanted this to be, and that it wasn't there yet. And I said, that's because you haven't created it yet. And so I say all that to say that just recently, and she hasn't even been doing her business for a year, and she works with a business coach also, so it's not just me, but she just got awarded a grant for her tea company.
Oh, that is so awesome.
And it's not even been a year.
That's awesome.
And this is what, and I've had clients that have said to me, Lisa, how is it that you've done more for me in 2 hours than my psychologist has done in 10 years?
Because that's their job.
It's because we're getting to the root and the core of things. You cannot fix, what is it? How does it go? You cannot fix an unconscious problem using conscious methods.
Yes, absolutely.
An individual must be skilled in the ability, that individual themselves, because I dare say that everybody can do this. Although this doctor said to me, Lisa, not everybody has that ability.
And that's true.
And I'll have to accept that, except I don't want to accept it, but I have to accept it.
Yeah.
But I advocate, I'll just put it that way, for people just getting quiet. Oh, here's the other thing. The other thing that I see people shift with lightning speed is when they truly accept that they want what they want, what they want. When there is no compromise in what they're saying they desire. Because that compromise, it's like, okay, for lack of a better way of saying it, because this is what it is, your body knows when you're lying.
Yep.
So when you're playing around and piddling around with what you want, there's a level of confusion that is happening energetically. And when you get straight to what you actually want versus what you've been compromising, it's like the heart just opens right up, because it's like ding, 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 ding. That's the truth of what you want. And it resonates from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Like you feel like you're floating because you finally accepted the truth of what you actually want versus the compromise that you've been struggling with for years.
So now, do you think that people, why do you think that is?
Again, because of society. Also because I'll give my own personal example of what happened with me when I had a particular fork in the road years ago where I was working for one of my area's largest healthcare systems. And yes, I had gotten to a place where I could go from one job to the next and make a little bit more money in the next job because you picked up skills from the last job. Yeah. So that felt like it was what I was going to do. Just pick up some skills and yes, move on to the next job because the last job isn't as challenging, and I'll just keep it moving like that. Until one day it registered in my body that this is not what I wanted. I was not feeling fulfilled. So that was the bottom line of it. I was not feeling fulfilled, and I was tired of jumping from one job to what felt to me like jumping from one job to the next, even though I might have held a job for a number of years. But still, it just didn't feel fulfilling to me. And so I heard very clearly, or I started to feel and accept, to go home, to carve out a space and time in the most comfortable area of my home, which is my bedroom, to wait until it's quiet and no one was going to distract me, to allow myself a space and time as long as it was going to take to find out what I actually wanted to be doing versus what I was doing.
Yes.
And as I allowed this process, and I was sitting there and I'm listening, because I like to give like a little prompt, because your unconscious mind is going to work with whatever you prompted to go and look for.
Yes, yeah.
And so that was the question I posed to myself. What do you actually want versus what you've been compromising? Actually want was the major thing. And so I'm sitting there, and what started to happen was, because you're already resonating with a certain familiar way that you flow and what you tend to do and all of this, I started getting very familiar type responses to what I actually wanted to do. Now, how I knew any of this, Tammi, I don't know. No, I all I know is I was hearing and feeling what I was supposed to be doing, and that if something familiar came up, that was not it, because that was along the lines of the momentum of what was already created. I was being guided with that information in that moment.
Right.
And so when a thought would come up, I would be able to say, nope, that's not it, because I could feel the familiarity of it in my body. And then something else came up. Nope, that's not it. And I was able to move it to the side, like like I was dealing with a reel or something, like swipe, move it to the side.
Yeah,
So
like a fly came through.
yep, that's not it. So by the third time, when I felt the truth of at that moment in time, because now I want something different than I did back then. But I heard, you want to work part-time, making full-time money. And my body just opened up and lit up, and with what felt like the truth at that moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question, what started to happen immediately when I heard and felt that were internal thoughts.
Yes.
Challenging thoughts or contrary thoughts came to challenge what I had just heard. Stuff like, how dare you? How dare you say you want to work part-time, making full-time money?
Who do you think you
Nobody
are?
else around you is
Who do you
making
think you are?
part-time. Yeah, and who do you think you are? That's what I heard.
Yep.
And I'm like, and I sat, because it was like, oh my goodness, like I just felt this, yet I'm hearing this. And what started to happen was I was being informed, like my whole being just knew what was happening. And
Yes.
it was first of all, understand that the thoughts that you're hearing are inside of you.
Yes.
Understand that you have not said anything to anyone outside of you. These are your thoughts. You are having an internal conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, and then it was like, okay, I started to understand these questions needed to be answered by me. I needed to be able to respond to each one of those things, that yes, this was the truth of what I heard, or no,
Yes.
it was not true. And so when I realized none of it was true, it was like Memorex or some type of recording a program that I was dealing with. It was, I literally, neurologically, literally went into the state of being as if I was already working part-time, making full-time money. Now, how this worked was I was in a state of being, of gratitude, of understanding, of all of these things, as someone who was working part-time, making full-time money. Now, was it occurring right in that moment? Nope. And I got up every day going to a full-time job, and I was a supervisor at that time, going to a full-time job with this state of being. So it was kind of like I was wrapped in it. No, it was in me. It was
You embodied it.
yes, I was walking around with this state of being. So even interacting with my staff and all of this, they're talking to me, I'm talking to them. So I'm fully aware of what's happening around me, but I was in a whole nother state of being. And so when people would ask me later on, when I would share this story, how long did it take for this to occur? I can only say, I don't know. I do not know how long, because I was already there. So when it did occur, it was as if it was already occurring. It already had happened inside of me. So when it occurred, it was so matter of fact. And this is what
So it was like an extension.
Exactly. And you know, for those who understand it, which I'm sure because they're listening to your channel, they will. I was in two places at the same time.
Mm.
I was in my physical location, but I was not here. I was embodying the state of being as if, and when it would, you know, start to die down, that feeling would start to die down. And because I was so familiar with that feeling that I could feel when it started to get lower or something like that, and I would be able to go right back into the state. So now that was more familiar to me, so that when I started to feel something other than that, it was like I would be able to go right back in like instantaneously.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That
And
is,
this is how or why I am so passionate about taking my clients into the state of being as if it's already occurring, because the question is not how. It's not how. I had no idea how. I had no idea how long. I didn't have any question, no doubt, no worry, none of the things that actually hinder us and keep us from doing what it is that we say we want to do. It's not for you to have all of these answers. It is for you to make a decision about what it is that you want. And I can speed it up for you by going into the state of being as if it has already occurred, because I have done that since I was 12 years old. I got a whole nother story, but we're getting low on time. But um, this is what I've always done prior to knowing anything about manifesting, anything about any gurus, information, any of this. I was already doing this. I just became consciously aware that I had the ability to do that.
so this was already inside of you.
Yes.
That is important because so many people will be watching us and they'll be saying, but I can't do that, or I don't even know. Or then there's the other part, the people that'll say, I've been doing that all my life, because they hear it.
Everyone has been doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone has been doing it. The I love when I don't know if it's Dr. Joseph Dispenza, or I'm not sure if it's him, but the bottom line is, if we were to just stop and take inventory of our lives,
Yes.
we are experiencing in our lives the experiences we're having because we are inside of particular states of being that have caused us to be where we're at right now. So if we want to shift those states of being, and the shift will come neurologically first. This is what I encourage, because all of this hard work and efforting and all of this stuff everybody's doing, no. I mean, you can do it if you want to. I'm just saying that's not my thing. My thing is to go in as if it's already occurred, and that is the work, because it's not always easy. It's not always easy.
No.
But when you spend more time mastering that than trying to figure out how, you'll see some stuff changing.
I'm telling you, that's so powerful because, that is exactly what I discovered and I started doing, because I discovered Neville Goddard and Florence Scovel Shinn, who I love,
Yes.
last year. And maybe, yeah, I think it was last year, like early last year, like January or so. But I started doing the same thing. So because I'm manifesting my house. We purchased the land, and so now we're manifesting the house, and I have put myself in my bed in my new house. I've been doing it since last year.
Yeah.
Since I learned that process, I was like, I can do that. I can do that. I can put myself. So when I go to sleep at night, I go to sleep in my bed in my new house.
Yes, ma'am.
And it feels so amazing. And I like the way you talked about, listening to your body and seeing how it feels inside of your body.
Yes.
Because so many of us, don't, because we've been taught not to pay attention to our body, or, that our body lies to us and things like that. But your body is things that doesn't lie to you.
Right. That exactly. I talked to my youngest son about this, and the fact that, just like you said, Tammi, we're taught that our bodies, to separate yourself from your
Yes.
body. And
Yes.
so we're in these vehicles that are the truth. They are the truth.
Yes.
Because, and what I mean by that is, if you are sensitive enough, and some people, you don't have to be sensitive, you just, and you might be saying things regarding this, but don't understand that this is what you're saying.
Yes.
When you go into certain locations and you get that feeling that you should not be here, or you hear a song, songs are like the biggest thing that can teach us how powerful our bodies and minds are.
Yes.
Because when you hear your favorite song from back in the day, what happens? You know what I mean? And it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's energy, it's every single thing that we are.
I was going to say, and it transports you someplace.
Exactly.
Because you can think about, where you were when you first heard that song, or, maybe this party that was, the bomb, and you just all of a sudden, this was a song like, I think about, what's that one? Soul Sonic Force. I think about that because that song, we had a party when I was in the 9th grade, and and nobody, the person that was supposed to bring the music didn't show up until like way late. So the only song we had was that one. So we played it over and over for like,
wow.
Because we didn't have cell phones back then, so we could have, put it on Google, I mean YouTube, and then that we didn't have all that stuff back then. I was 13 years old. And so they would, we played that song. So every time I hear that song, it takes me back to that place. That is so amazing.
And
How
look
that
at
happened.
the level of detail you were able to provide.
Yes.
That is what lives in and outside of our bodies.
Yes.
That just was there. It's there.
Yes.
And we know, if someone comes around us, or, just these things that happen that, like for me, I can be driving and go through a town. I was coming back from my son when he was in college, and I'm riding, I'm just chilling, I'm listening to the music, I'm riding, and all of a sudden we're in a particular location. I was by myself in a particular location going through this particular town, and something just came over me like I needed to get out of there. It just did not feel good. I don't know all the details behind that, but I don't care.
No.
All I know is I just felt what I felt, and I'm getting out of here as quickly as I can,
Yes. Yes.
But yes, our bodies are telling us, and we ignore so much of what is happening right in the moment. And so it's time to practice as much as we can. What is our body telling us?
Yeah. And I feel like it's time for us to come home, to our bodies, not all the other stuff, and not, out here, just like we were talking, we love these classes and we love these courses and all that stuff. But, you and I had a conversation. We're about coursed out. I'm not doing a lot of courses right now because I'm coursed out.
Yeah.
I need to spend time with me, and I need to spend time with my spiritual team.
Exactly.
I don't need anybody else in my ear. And I don't need anybody saying, "Oh, well, you need to do it this way. You need to do it that way."
Oh no,
Because truth
absolutely.
be told, we know how to do it.
Exactly. Exactly.
We know how to get things done within ourselves. We know how to get things done within our businesses. We know. And it's so amazing because sometimes I pull some cards for myself. And so the card that I pulled for myself that came, and I just giggled, it says, "You know what to do."
Exactly.
Like, okay, because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pull some cards today because for me usually.
Yeah.
And I did, and that card came. It was like, you know what to do. And then passion came. And then prosperity came.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, all right, I understand. I hear what you're saying. I got it. I'm good, But is listening to our bodies, and actually just paying attention to the messages that we receive in all the ways that we do.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
I saw somebody had a post, and a friend of mine, she was talking about she was being admitted to the hospital. And so I sent her a message and I said, girl, I said, if you wanted a day off, why don't you just take a day off? I said, you need some time off. I said, just take some time off. You don't got to go to the hospital to do it. But those are some of the things that happen with us. Just like
Exactly.
you were talking, and we had this discussion. I was sick for over a year. And I didn't realize it was my body talking to me because I was super freaking burned out from the work that I was doing, because it's not my soul work. I'm
Yeah.
not really supposed to be doing it. And then the other thing is, I don't know about you, but when I started coming into human design helped me to realize that I am not born to work hard. I'm not born for that. And I have worked way too hard in my life than I was created to do.
Exactly.
But that was something I had to come to.
Yeah.
Because how are we raised? Work hard, get a good job, go to school, get a good job, work hard, and if if you don't have what you need, work harder.
Work harder. Exactly. Work harder. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
so true. It's so true. And we weren't aware that a great deal of society are generators, while there's other forms of energy expression. And to be able to, as you mentioned, human design, to be able to delve into that and really get a deeper understanding. Well, you're reading what you're reading, but you've already had the experience. So when you're reading what you're reading, it's just confirming and validating
Yeah.
your experience. And this is what I love about some type of study coming into my sphere. It came as a result of something I was already asking a question about or
Yes.
experiencing, trying to have
Yes.
a deeper understanding about. And then it's like, here is the answer.
Yes.
And if it's one thing I committed to doing, and it has been really something, it has really been teaching me, this state of being of rest has really been teaching me something about myself. But
Yes. Yes.
yeah, because boy, oh boy, are there times that I'm sitting around, I'll be sitting here, and I think I told you it might come over me. Is it supposed to be this easy? Am I supposed to be this relaxed? But you're only comparing it to what you've already been doing. And
Yes.
so when that comes over me, I understand that, oh, shoot, this is Lisa. And because I don't respond the way I normally would have, I liken it to, I hate to use this word, but I don't know what other word to use, but I liken it to like a withdrawal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's
That's
like
what
you're
it is.
feeling like you want to get ready to jump out. Like my typical response, if it would have come over me some time ago, that you're not doing enough, or you girl, you need to get out here and be seen. How the heck is this supposed to
I was
happen?
gonna say, you got to
You
go
know,
networking, and you got to
yeah,
come here
you
and do
gotta
these
do
things.
you gotta do this, that, and the other. And I stay still now, but the feeling is like, oh my
You know what I call
goodness.
it? I call it a low level anxiety, because that's what it feels.
Yes,
It's like, oh my God, I'm sitting here, but I think I need to be doing something. I
I
need to be on
think
the
I need to
computer.
be.
I need to be on Canva. I need to be making a YouTube video. I need to be, I need to go out here and network and meet people. I need to go and just be doing, when it's
And
not often time for that.
it's
Sometimes it's time for us to just be.
well, what I learned specifically about projectors, which is what I am in energy expression. When I read these words, Tammy, I was like, oh my goodness. That our replenishment, not only our replenishment of energy is happening in, of course, as you're resting, but that We are most powerful when we're not talking and when we're not doing. and that, so when I read these words, I was like, first of all, yes. But I did often wonder some time ago before reading that, how is it that I could have been out there hustling online and not got any bites, no nothing, right? But as soon as I'm quiet, saying absolutely nothing online, I'll get somebody come in my inbox. I have not just you, Tammi, but 2 more podcast interviews, and I have not been online.
Well,
So,
you've sowed the seeds.
and I had a gentleman say to me, because I was talking to him about this, and he was telling me, he said, you're, in terms of something happening or work, these types of things, he's like, while you're in that restful state, he said, you are working in other realms. Because
Oh, I
he's been
love
a,
that.
yes, he's been a supporter of mine for years. And he said, yes, you have not been on Facebook. He said, but I'll be doing something or whatever. And he said, all of a sudden it'll come to me, something that you said related to a question I had or something. And so he was confirming for me that you don't have to be out here, because you're working in another realm. And he said that, I was like, you know what? Look, I wanted to throw a shoe.
I was getting ready to say, you wanted to do like we used to do in the church and shout, jump up and shout, or run around the church.
I mean, just to have it confirmed, because it's, like I said, years ago, I would ask how this was happening. And then, you're not paying attention, you
I was
going
gonna
about
say,
your
I stopped.
business,
I stopped.
just whatever. And then just all of this, coming full circle, not full circle, but just, coming up again.
Mm-hmm.
And then just hearing it again and having it clarified and all of this, it's like, you know what? I'm chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm chilling. And that's what it is,
But you think about it, it's good for you because you're glowing. I mean, the way that, because and I'm gonna go ahead and share this. We talked before because we were trying to get this interview done before, and my computer was messing up. And so we ended up still on the Zoom for what, an hour and a half.
Yep.
Even, but it was something about when I got ready to record, the thing started acting stupid.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I said, well, then that means, I know what that means. I said, that means it's just not time for us to do this now.
Yep.
And every time this has happened to me, the interviews are so fire when we do them.
Yes.
And that's what this one is. It's like, because you're in a different space than you were then. Because that was what, February or March, right?
Yep.
You're in a different space than you were then. And it's like you're glowing and you're just what is that word? You're luminescent.
If you don't stop.
Hey, that's my job.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But I'm so excited for you because it just feels so good. And it's because to me, and this is something that somebody shared with me, which I already knew because I read The Big Leap too. When you're in your zone of genius, you're in your zone of genius. This is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're in that place, standing in that place, you're holding space for people, and you are, not rushing and not hustling and not pushing. Because, according to your design, you ain't supposed to do that. According to mine, I ain't supposed to even work. Because I'm a reflector, y'all, 2/4. So I'm like the hermit opportunist, which is really, really strange to me. But but I can see it, so I was like, okay. But it's just, it's amazing to see it. And I'm so grateful that you're in my world.
Oh, I'm grateful for you too. And I just wanted to offer to people that, because I know what the questions can be when people are feeling like, what am I going to do to make money? I'm
Yes.
at a job that I don't want to be at.
Yeah.
All of these things, because been there, done that. And I understand. So it's not like,
T-shirt, cup in the mug, and the pen.
yeah, it's not like we don't understand exactly
Oh, yes.
what's going on. And I just wanted to offer, for people to begin to understand what it feels like to go into the state of being as if something has already occurred. Step number one would be to figure out what you actually want to be doing.
You know what's wild is that is exactly what I say to my clients. What do you want? That's like the first thing that I tell them to do. So write it on a piece of paper and just sit with it.
That's what I was going to say, because I'm working with my son, my younger son, with a business that he's getting started. And come to find out, I didn't know that this was going to happen, but we sit together and have business meetings. And our first 3 business meetings turned out to be several hour long meetings about states of being, going into the state, all of this. And I encourage my son, which he has done, to write his specifically for him, because he's starting a organic shaving cream company.
Oh.
And because he has
I cannot wait till he gets that straight, because we got that going on over here, and
yes,
this man is definitely always looking for stuff that's not chemicals and things like that.
Exactly. And he has a whole story to share about that and all of that. But I said to him, I want you to go into the state of being as if you have already experienced your most successful day of your shaving cream company. And just like with all of my clients, he stopped at the threshold of things he needed to address. So whatever your questions, your worries, your doubts, these are not really questions, worries, and doubts. What they are things that begin to go from the back of the mind and come to the forefront. So as an example, with my son, he wanted to make sure that once he is successful, so this could be a hindrance to people who want to be successful, but they hold themselves back because they perceive that the right people are not going to be around. They need their friendships to be genuine, that people that are around them are really for them, that those people, those people that are around them have been supported from day one, these types of things. And I bring that up because that was one of my son's thoughts that came up. And that is, it turns out that what's happening is that is a part of why you never stepped your foot forward to begin with. These things that come from back here and start to move forward, because I say, go ahead and go into the state. They move forward because they want to be answered. Yes. So even if you're perceiving it as a worry, a doubt, a this or that, no, it's here because you need to define. So that's that thing that I just brought up. That's not really a worry. You're going to write down who these people are. You're going to write down the characteristics of the people you want around you. You're going to write down, you're going to go into this day that is the most successful day of your shaving cream company. And everything that you're feeling is a question. You're going to feel your way through the answer. And so I also instructed him that this is a living document. So just because you wrote something one day doesn't mean you can't go back and assess what you've written and say, oh no, I meant this, or I need to go deeper into here. I need to expand here.
Or just rip that up and start over.
Exactly. Or you could do that as well. But I've done this type of writing. This type of writing is not just you jotting down some bullet points or anything like that. This is you actually, because I told him we need to do a little podcast, because he could talk to you about, he said, Mom, I feel like I'm being spoken to by my future self.
Ooh.
And I said, you are. And he said,
how old is he?
He's 20.
Dang.
And
I wish that I could have been there at that age. My God.
And he'll say, and I just experienced it myself, so I knew exactly what he was talking about. He said,
Exactly.
it feels weird because I'm me, but I'm accessing this other me. And so what's happening is you're bridging the gap. I said, we are, what is it called? We are collapsing time right now.
Yes. Yes.
And his body is actually sensing and feeling the connection, or the bridge rather, between the self that is kind of disintegrating in the face of the person he's creating.
Oh, Jesus. I felt that already right there.
And then I said, you know what, I need to go back and visit my writings. And Tammi, I'm telling you, I picked up a writing that I had gone inside so with such, like I said, subtle energy, with such intricacy about what it feels like, what it smells like, what I look like on this day, who's around, what's cooking, all of these things, that when I went back and visited this writing, I started reading the first 5 lines of what I said, and I just started crying.
Oh.
Because that's how much I felt myself right there.
Mm.
And how I know that's me.
Yes.
It's we are one. This being that I'm writing about on this paper, we are one. And to revisit, to have written something that you wrote a long time ago, and to go back and have it just reawaken inside of your body, because everything that you wrote is the truth of what you actually want.
Yes. Yes.
And this is why I'm saying this is a living document, and this is not something you say, oh, I'm just going to write down something. No. You need to go inside.
I was going to say, I light a candle.
Okay, I love it.
I do. Yes. I ordered these candles, and I think I ordered them from like dollartree.com or something like that. I didn't really like them that much, but I was like, you know what, I could use these. So I ordered these. I put a little bit of sage in it, and I light it, and I sit when I write. And I and I breathe, and I go in, and I say, okay, I'm going to write. But, for me, because I know that I realized probably a few years ago that I've been channel writing forever. And I didn't know. I saw somebody talking. I was actually doing a training on it, and I was like, wait, I already do that. I've done that for years.
I know you have just as many notebooks.
Girl.
I tried to collect all my notebooks and put them in one spot, and one day tried to go through. Yeah.
I just got this one from the thrift store.
From the thrift store, from the dollar store, from Walmart. If it looks cute, pretty, whatever, I'll pick it up, because I'm like, ooh, I could just feel myself writing, like, ooh.
I actually found some, and I had like 3 or 4 pages left in it. And I was like, I didn't even know I had pages left. Oh, but that's so amazing. It's so awesome. I could talk to you all day, but we are going to land this plane, because this show has me on fire. I don't know if you realize, but I love to talk to positive people, and that was one of the reasons why I decided to shift my focus to spiritual entrepreneurs, because I know that, we need exposure, number one. Number two, I just love talking to us because I geek out on this stuff, and,
yes.
and I know you said you weren't going on with your master's or anything, but I decided to do that because it was something I wanted to do. And so I kind of already got started, and but the thing is that every day when I look at that stuff, because I try to, do so much every day. So every day when I look at that stuff, I learn so much more about myself. And I think that is what geeks me out so bad, because I didn't expect that, with that journey. But I was like, wow, And for me, it started out because of the expectations of my parents when I was coming up. I didn't finish my college degree. I went to college, but I didn't finish it. I messed around, changed my major way too many times. So I have like all these credit hours, but I never had a degree. I got my nursing, but that's a diploma course. And so I was like, okay, I need to get that done. So when I found it, I was like, oh, I can do this. And I don't have to, go and sit through chemistry and all these other freaking classes that I already had 18 times anyway, because when I started out to college, I was a pre-med major, biology and all that. And so I have all these classes, but, they're 30 years old now. And so I was like, I don't have to do all that. I can just learn. Oh my God, that's amazing. So I started on that journey. And then now as I've been on it, and then as I stepped out into, doing what I love to do, and actually really diving into finding out myself, because like you, I was 33 years in the medical field. So that was all I've done, so it's like, okay, where do I go from here? And how do I pivot? And how do I shift? And where do I go? Even though I always knew that I was supposed to be a business owner. So I've done many little businesses along the way. I mean, I was in Herbalife and, Avon and Amway and, you name it, I pretty much have done it.
Yeah, you have that entrepreneurial spirit.
I do. I'm like, I'm supposed to be working for myself. I ain't supposed to be up here, with these people. Because I'm telling you, when I go to work, one of the things I say is, and I tell them that, I'll be like, you know what? You don't tell me what to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, don't even
Tell
try
who you
to
think
tell
you
me
are.
what to do.
Right? Don't get it twisted.
Exactly.
About it. I said, it's amazing that I only got fired twice in my life.
Woo!
Because there
I
were some
get it.
times
I get it. I
that
get
I
it.
would say, oh my God. And it was funny because my ex-husband one day, he said, you said, I was telling him about a situation. He said, you said what? And I said, yeah, I told him blah, blah, blah. And he was like, and you still got a job? I said, of course I do. I said, I'm good at what I do.
Right. Exactly.
I said, and they know me.
Exactly.
I said, they know if they weren't talking to me in that way, then they wouldn't have gotten spoken to in that way.
Exactly. It's so true. It's so true.
But anyway, I'm so grateful for you coming on the show, Lisa. This has been amazing. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, and I was thinking about how, we started to do this show months ago, and it wasn't the time.
Right.
It really was, and I felt so bad about it, but it was nothing I could do because, girl, I have two computers, and they were both on the fritz. But I was like, nothing I could do, and I'm not interested in doing it on the phone. People do, but that's not my style.
Right.
So I was like, no, we're not doing that. But I'm so grateful that we waited and that we came together because this has been such an amazing co-creation.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
before we go, let the people know how they can contact you or what's the best place to find you.
So I have my website, which is lisascott.org. I am on TikTok, having fun on TikTok,
Yeah,
at
TikTok's
Manifest
fun.
Lady.
Okay.
And I am on Instagram, and that is Lisa. I don't know if it's _manifest.
Well,
For some reason I'm seeing it.
your details will be in the show notes.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so website, TikTok, Instagram.
Okay, awesome. That's what's up. So if you are looking for her, if you've heard her and she has said something that, that lit you up, sparked you, and you know that you are supposed to be working with her, then you need to find her on those places. TikTok, I love. People, I had a young lady that she's a little bit older than me, and she's like, I didn't think we were on that. I said, girl, yes. I said, we on there? I said, now I'm a Gen X, and I think she was like right at the end of Gen X, I think. And I said, Gen X is on there. I said, boomers are on there. I said, girl, we are all on TikTok. I said, why?
Yes.
Because it's easy. You got the 1-minute videos. I said, it's amazing. You can learn a little pocket of knowledge and stuff while you're there. I said, and you can have fun and you can get on there like I do and dance and then put the words like I've seen other people do.
Yep,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? But I mean, it's just fun. And that is another piece to it.
Yep,
When you want to manifest, you want to have fun.
exactly. You want to
don't want to
encompass
be
all of that.
right.
All of that.
You don't want it to be hard. And one of the things I'm gonna say before we get off here is I used to be that person that, made it hard. I made everything hard, and
Me
I
too.
realized I was self-sabotaging myself because, if things started looking right, I'm like, okay, why is that easy like that? And, why did it happen that easy? And I really didn't even put a lot into it and blah, blah, blah. But I realize now it's supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be hard. I'm supposed to
Exactly.
have fun.
That's right.
Like I told you, I'm going to the beach later because I love the water. And it don't get dark here until like 9 o'clock. So, I'm good.
I love it.
Right? So super excited. We're going to land this plane. I am so grateful for all of you watching or listening, even on your podcast, because you can listen to this show on anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And I would appreciate it if you would download it. Thank you so much. And if you would like and share and subscribe if you are watching it on YouTube, so that other people can get a chance to listen to this wonderful conversation. So again, thank you for joining. And if you are a spiritual entrepreneur and you would like to come on Straight Out of Savannah and talk about it, then just send me a message. I'm Googleable. You can find me everywhere. So again, thank you so much for joining. Bye now.
Hi, this is Tammi Morrison, and I am a spiritual teacher, mentor, intuitive channel, seer, transformational speaker, author, and Reiki energy jewelry creator. I know it is a mouthful, but those are a lot of the things that I am. And of course, there are other things that I am. I am also a clairvoyant. I'm also a clairaudient, claircognizant channel. My mission on the planet is to assist folks in connecting to the deepest parts of their soul, accessing their intuition and the peace that they've been seeking, give them life freedom. And so how I do that is I do that through sessions, working with people, using energy healing tools that I have learned over the years, also using my own powerful intuition. And so I have a program right now that I'm filling, Preparing for Your Crown. It is a mentorship program, and right now it is a 6-week mentorship program. I'm looking at expanding it into maybe 6 months or maybe even quarterly. But right now it is 6 weeks. And so I'm taking applications for that right now. The cost of it is $22.22. And I also have, I'm going to put PayPal paying for on my website. And also I offer payment plans if you need that. So again, Preparing for Your Crown is my 6-week mentorship program that is happening now. If you are especially on your journey of spiritual awakening, I'm speaking to you. If you are coming from religion into spirituality, I am speaking to you. So if you are ready to invest in yourself and ready to shake some things up in your environment and begin to seriously and deeply connect to the deepest parts of your soul so that you can connect to your own powerful intuition and receive the peace that you are looking for, giving you also freedom as far as time and life and all the things. So if that is something that you are looking for, reach out to me. You can reach me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me right here on Spotify. You can also send me a message right here on Spotify. I didn't even realize that. So if that is where you are in your life and you are looking for somebody that understands you, especially if you're coming from religion, because I came from deep religion, from Pentecostal holiness in the South. So if you understand that, you know what I'm talking about. So if you are coming from that space and your gifts are opening up and you're wanting to connect with your archetypes and you're wanting to connect with spirit, source, universe, God, whatever you call him, her, or them, reach out to me and let's get you set up and started. Thank you so much. Bye.
I know you've been blown away with the amazing value here today. Now go out and inspire the planet. And be sure to send us a message when you're ready to come talk about it on Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi.